With the breathwork, I've tried, I don't know, maybe 6 to 10 different types. Soma breath, like the Wim Hof method and all that one. And like some of them are doing it intensely, like that you're really pushing. And then you kind of go into, I suppose you'll call it a psychedelic state. Is that something that you think good? What's your thought?
Just let me try to explain quick what is happening on a physical level when you're doing hyperventilation.
With the different, say, meditation, what type of meditation do you teach and practice yourself?
So, in essence, a really wonderful meditation is to be able to sit, for instance, and to scan through your body, to be able to really feel how your body is feeling. And sometimes you feel maybe if you scan through the body, there's a little bit of an ache here or an ache there, but being able to feel it without judging it, like, how does that actually feel then? It's a bit of a sharp feeling or a bit of a dull feeling or a hot feeling, so that you become able to see reality as it is. Instead of making first stories about it, that's my shoulder, I broke my shoulder 6 years ago on a skiing accident and I should see a doctor and it's still not over yet. And you go into all these stories that your mind makes up. But being able to just feel it or see it however it is, then you start to merge your awareness with the present moment, just feeling it as it is. And in some people, there is a lot of conflict. There's a lot of tension in both their mind and their body. And they become aware like, actually, there's so much tension in my system, but you become okay with it. Like, it's okay. And by doing so, you start to transform all these tensions, all these negative states of your mind and of your body. You'll be able to, in a way, transform them to let these tensions come to the surface. You feel them, but then they can go out of your system. But this is a deep technique, a very simple technique, but very difficult for some. And that's why it's very good to first do some breath work, because the breath work will really help your physical body, your mind, your emotional system to open up a bit more, to loosen up a bit more. And it makes it a lot easier for your mind to be more still, to be able to concentrate. So therefore, what I teach a lot is a technique of doing some strong, deep, what's called yogic breathing from the belly to the heart to the chest, breathing in and slowly breathing out. But then also nothing too strong, not doing it for like 30 breaths that you almost start to faint, almost start to pass out, because that's also not really the right way of doing it, but just gentle. And then taking some time to just slow down the breath. And making the breath more subtle, more gentle, more slow. And with each breath out, it's like you start to loosen up a bit more. Loosen up your physical body, loosen up a bit your emotional system, loosen up your mind, until you come into that state of, it's all good, it's all good. And then one can start to go into meditation.
And with like the breath work, because I've tried, I don't know, maybe 6 to 10 different types. Soma breath, like the Wim Hof method and all that one. And like some of them are doing it intensely, like that you're really pushing. And then you kind of go into, I suppose you'll call it a psychedelic state. Is that something that you think is not good? What's your thought?
Well, just let me try to explain quick what is happening on a physical level when you're doing hyperventilation, what it basically is. So you're breathing more than you actually need. You hyperventilate air through the body. You bring a lot of CO2 out, but your body needs CO2 for it to have the right balance in pH. So the carbon dioxide makes the blood more acidic. And why is this needed? Because the hemoglobin, the transporters of oxygen through the blood, they need a bit of acidity to be able to let go of the oxygen to the cells in the body. So if you bring a lot of CO2 out, the blood becomes very alkaline, and it's very difficult for the oxygen to be released from the hemoglobin. So the oxygen stays sticked to the hemoglobin, and therefore you are actually depriving your brain of oxygen. Another important thing, what happens is that your capillaries and all the veins in your body, they start to contract because of the alkalinity. So it stops the blood flow to the brain It very much slows it down. So actually you are depriving your brain of oxygen, and therefore you start to space out. You start to feel very dizzy, and sometimes people even faint, right? If they really push it. So people say then, well, yeah, that's a psychedelic experience, that is this or that, but it's basically just like that children's game that you sometimes that children used to play sometimes, with hyperventilating and then pushing really hard against your chest to bring the pressure up to the brain, and then you faint. It's basically doing that game. It has a profound effect in unblocking your systems, the emotional system and the mind, but on the other hand, it's on a level of getting nice sensations. It's almost like taking a drug, you know? You take a drug, you get nice sensations. Oh, you maybe see some colors, maybe you really space out, you feel tingling in the body. Woo, nice sensations. But it's not meditation, because what you try to do with meditation is to still the mind, not make spectacular feelings and spectacular sensations, but you want to still everything so that you are able to become aware, like, okay, there is stillness in the mind, stillness in the body. What is then left? It's my pure consciousness, it's my pure awareness. And whereas as you keep doing only strong breathing technique, you keep the mind actually very active. You keep the physical sensations very active, and you miss out on the ability to have a very sharp awareness to go into the stillness of the moment. Because I've met a lot of people who just practice strong breathing techniques, and then I say, okay, now try to breathe super slow, super calm, and feel really what is happening in the body. But they are not able to feel it because they need spectacular sensations, and they need to do something strong, because the mind is so still a bit restless in a way, and the awareness is not sharp. So it has its own benefits, the strong breathing technique, but if one is not careful, he or she still stays a sensation seeker and is not able to really go into the meditation of stillness, and feels only boredom because they want some sensations to enjoy, if you know what I mean. You follow a bit what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes total, and to be honest, I've never thought of it like that, but it makes total sense. And just because I've seen people kind of getting breakthroughs and, you know, bursting out crying and everything with the normal kind of controlled breathing. Have you actually, is that possible too? Or do you need to kind of go to the pushed level? What's the best way of people to release trauma? Because I mean, there's the other side of people go to a psychologist for 20 years and they just keep reliving the moment and they're not really being helped. So,
yeah. So in a therapeutic way, once in a while, to do this, it works very therapeutically, absolutely, and it's good to do for most people. But you can see it a bit like this. People can carry a lot of trauma in their emotional system, right? And it's almost like that they try to protect that trauma. They don't want to come face to face with those feelings. So it's almost like a hard shell starts to build up around a certain trauma or bad experience in their life, or certain emotion that they don't want to feel. And it stays really hard and protected. And sometimes on some moments it comes out a little bit, but they always feel they're carrying a weight with them. With very strong breathing techniques, it's almost like you start to break open that shell and everything starts to come out. Some people might have an experience with strong breathing technique. All of a sudden they start crying or they start reliving the experience, and it feels like, they have let it out, which can be sometimes good. For some people though, it can be a bit too much. It can be like, what's happening now? I'm not prepared for this. And in some cases, people will start to feel it actually, they almost added another trauma in their lives by reliving again those feelings and emotions. But for a lot of people, it's a good thing. What I try to teach though is to not break open the shell and let it come out in that way, but to start to bring the awareness within, and very slow. Like awareness is like a light. It can start to transform things. It's like the sunlight that can hit on ice or snow. It starts to slowly melt, and that you slowly start melting. You first feel a bit of restlessness, just a bit of discomfort, you become okay with it. You start to feel like, okay, you become able to feel okay with the restlessness. Then you feel like, actually that feeling of restlessness, it's a bit a stronger emotion. Maybe I feel anger with it. You start to become aware of it with acceptance, with kindness. And like that, you start to slowly melt those hard shells around it. And maybe you become aware of a bit of pain that you carry within. Maybe you start to become aware of the tension at the source, but you bring the awareness in. It's like you bring light within that area of the heart, instead of just bringing it out for a quick moment, but you are still not able to really come face to face in a slow and gentle way with the discomfort. So why do I believe that is better? Because in daily life, we are constantly confronted with our subtle tensions that we have. We have a certain conversation with somebody and he says something that we don't like. We feel a bit of tension or anger. Or somebody cuts us off on the highway. We feel a bit of tension, a bit of anger. And all these moments, these situations, when the anger arises or the frustration or the irritation or the sadness, we normally would feel like, I don't like the feeling. I blame that person for the way that I feel, or I eat a lot of chocolate just to distract myself from the feeling. And like that, you keep going through life. Whereas as you learn in slower breathing techniques and in meditation to bring the awareness within and to become okay with how you feel, you are able to transform yourself from that. So that you feel, if somebody says something not nice, you don't like, and a feeling of frustration or anger comes up, and you know, like, now I feel a little bit of frustration, anger. I'm not going to react in it in a way thinking how stupid that person is, that he or she always says something like that, or maybe even shout at the person. But no, I'm just going to feel like, a bit of tension that's coming to the surface. I'm okay with it. And you bring again that awareness on it, and then it starts to transform. Instead of you reacting to it and becoming almost like a slave to the emotion or the feeling and behaving in a way that you after a lot of times can regret, you start to become able to just feel it as it is. That's what I feel now. That's what I feel. And then you start to become able to see every moment that you feel in daily life a bit of anger or frustration as another opportunity to clear yourself from anger or frustration, like you're purifying slowly yourself from all these negative states of being, until you become completely light, and let's see that there's no more blockages in that system. And then if somebody cuts you off the road, you'll be like, no worries, maybe he's in a hurry. Or if somebody says something not so nice to you, you think like, well, okay, that's what he or she thinks, that's all right. You can feel that. So you follow a bit what I'm saying, Roy. It's different,
absolutely,
different
and I actually I think it's probably a better way. It's something that I haven't thought about, because I have seen it and spoke about it with a few people on the kind of, let's say, the hyperventilating stage. But the one thing that does scare me is when you're doing that in an event, you're surrounded by facilitators, and now a load of them are doing it online. And that scares me, that somebody is encouraging somebody that has never done it, and they're pushing this really, intensive breath work. And if somebody gets that kind of reaction of maybe being raped or something like that, because that I've heard of situations like that, I don't think it's actually a safe environment when you're at home and you don't have a facilitator to hold over you and comfort you and cuddle you and kind of tell you you'll be okay.
Absolutely. You can be so overwhelmed with the stuff that comes out, that some people carry in with them. And like I mentioned, it can become a traumatizing experience again by itself, like a really bad trip. And they have no support whatsoever. They are maybe at home laying on the floor and not knowing what is happening. So yeah, it definitely has to be in good guidance in real life, and not just something you do online. I agree with that. But that's the thing, it has also a lot of benefits. And then it's the question, okay, should you then not do it at all, and then nobody will, or not so many people will do it, or should you still keep doing it on such a bit large scale, and maybe 1% of the people will have a bit of a bad experience, but hopefully they will get over that as well, if you know what I mean. So it's a choice that everybody has to make for themselves, of course. But I do like the fact that so many people are getting into this things, and it's a beautiful thing. One more thing about this, though, is that what can happen in the breath work and in the yogic practice, where a lot of these breathwork techniques are coming from, it's very much about slower breathing, about expanding, slowing down the breath, to start to expand a bit more your mind, your consciousness. But people coming from a society where everything is pushed faster, better, stronger, a lot of competition, all these things, they start to bring that mindset into all these wonderful practices that are actually about calming down and slowing down. So you've seen that a lot also in the yogic practice, that you get hot yoga, power yoga, strong yoga, and it becomes very much almost like an ego thing, and very forceful yoga. You see that also a bit happening in the breathwork things, that it's about pushing your limits, forcing the emotions out, doing things with force, whereas it should be actually more in a gentle, kind, calm form. But like I mentioned, a lot of people take that same mindset as they carry that high stress level from their daily living, from the society that we live in. They take that into the practice, and that reflects back into the techniques and how they do it in that way.
No,
so we have to be a bit careful for that.
Absolutely.
Breathwork is one of the fastest growing wellness trends and is bringing the healing, connection, and empowerment the world needs now more than ever. Breathwork is literally changing the world. More and more scientific evidence is showing how breathwork can help in treating a great variety of illnesses like depression, asthma, eczema, insomnia, stress, and even forms of cancer. Become a breathwork instructor and learn how to inspire, connect, heal and support, and make a beautiful change in this world.
There are so many wonderful things to discover in the art of breathwork. And some of you maybe have done a lot of breathwork already before, different types of breathing techniques, and have seen the power that breathwork can have on not just your physical body, but also on the mind, the emotional system, etc. If you want to learn more about this and learn how to start sharing this knowledge also to others, how to inspire others to live healthy, and also taking 4 weeks to do like a self-development program of breathwork, meditation and movement, in which you can greatly change your own life but also inspire the lives of other people. I've created a breathwork instructor course in which you will learn not just a lot of beautiful scientific knowledge about breathwork and about meditation and pranayama, but also learning how to share this knowledge with others in a safe, responsible, and profound way. So in case you're interested, I would highly recommend to check out this course and learn how to tap into the power of mind and heart and how to teach this to others.